Hey guys, it's Appleminte. Welcome back again to my channel. So in today's video, I have some new art supplies that I've never tested out before. These are Arteza's metallic gouache colors. Okay, so I'll get to this in a second, but here are all of the colors. I'm gonna take out one of them and just kind of see how it looks. Ooh, yeah. So with gouache, you typically add water to it. It's in between watercolors and acrylics. You wouldn't use it without adding water. It's not as opaque as an acrylic paint would be, but it's a little denser than watercolor would be. So it's perfect to use as like an in-between type paint. I hope you guys can see how great that looks. Oh my god, yes. I'm gonna pour out some of these colors and then I'm going to test them out on some watercolor paper. But the other supply that I have here is this little pack of two different glitters. One of these is called Fairy Dust and the other is Moonstone. So, oh yes. So this is chunky glitter. Oh, you know what? I'm opening this wrong. Oh, there it goes. Oh, yep, it's on my desk now. Got all different shapes, like little stars and little pink things in it, and those big chunky pieces. Oh my god, it's all over the desk. These are so pretty. I love, love, love this kind of glitter. Oh, hello, glitter. Okay, let me just, yeah. And the last thing I have to use today is this watercolor paper. It's from the Expert line that they've got going on, and it is the 100% cotton watercolor paper. They give you 14 sheets in this. So let's test out those colors. So one thing I noticed that in the pan, or I guess in the plate is what I'm using right now. I need a better mixing pan. I can see that it's very, very metallic. I can see the reflection in it. When I put it down on paper, however, it doesn't look as metallic when it goes on just because it's wet. I feel like I'm pretty terrible at swatches. So many people online have such beautiful watercolor swatches and I'm so bad at it. I don't know why. But now, I will say that now that, like for example, this copper one that dried down, now that it's dry, I can see it's definitely very shiny. I don't know if you guys can tell on camera. Sometimes it's difficult to get things to come across. I'm just gonna do this and hope you see it. Last thing that I want to test is if these mix together. So blending these two colors, they blended okay. I don't know if it's because it's gouache or because it's metallic paint, but I'm gonna attribute it to it being metallic, that it doesn't blend as smoothly or as cleanly as like something like a watercolor would. So, you know, that's my only gripe there. But I mean, it did end up blending decently in the middle, just not as much as I would have liked. But again, that could just be due to the fact that it's metallic. I'm not too sure. So this is what we got. These are the colors and the way they look when they're actually on paper. I know my swatches are like super ugly, but it's really just for me to see how they look on paper. This is my favorite so far because it's very, very coppery. Let's just get into it and see what we can come up with and how we can incorporate all of these supplies. So before I go into anything about the art supplies, for the drawing of this video, I actually had quite a hard time coming up with what I wanted to draw. I used Procreate a bit and tried to sketch a few different things to get some ideas. I didn't like anything that I was doing, and so that's why you don't see any Procreate in the beginning here of me sketching out a thumbnail or anything, because I did not like anything I did there. And then I ended up moving to a piece of paper and just kind of sketching around on it. I settled on a drawing that I kind of liked, which is why I just went straight into drawing it here. So sorry you guys didn't get to see any of the planning phase, but I'm talking you through it now, so hopefully that makes up for it a bit. But at first, when I had been thinking about what to draw, I was always keeping in mind that I was going to include the metallic paints, so I wanted something maybe at first galaxy-like, because I saw that purplish glitter and I was like, that would be perfect for a space type theme drawing with planets and stars and things like that. And I thought maybe I could draw somebody who's kind of like an ethereal body and, you know, somebody in space. And so I was going with that at first, but then as I was drawing it, I realized, and after I did the swatches of the paint, I realized how much I loved that green color and the pink color, and so I figured those colors would go a lot better with something that had to do more with nature, and so I turned to doing a more nature spirit type vibe. I added some flowers on the bottom and little butterflies around, and so I kind of had the colors in my head of where I wanted them to go. So that is why I did all of that there, and you'll see as I place colors down that the colors that I ended up going with fit this theme way better, and so that's the direction I took there. For her skin, I didn't use any of the metallic colors because I did not want her to be really shiny. I wanted other things to be really shiny, so I just used a mix of my Viviva color sheets that I got back in December, and then I also used some of my other Arteza watercolors that I had. So just a mix so I could get a nice color for her skin. And I already had in mind that I wanted to be adding some glitter to her skin as well, and you'll see that later on. I'll add it to various areas. So I wanted her skin to be dark enough to where the glitter could contrast off of it, and because I was planning on using the white glitter, but again, you'll see that soon. So for these paints, these are gouache, and I touched on that briefly in the beginning when I was showing you guys the paints and their swatches and everything. And a lot of the time, I feel like gouache is forgotten. It's always watercolor paint or acrylic paint, but and also oil paint, but a lot of people forget about gouache or don't use it as often. But I honestly really like it. I think that it's a great middle ground between watercolor and acrylic paint, whereas, you know, acrylic is more opaque, and that's really best to be used on a canvas, not really any type of paper. And then you've got watercolor, which is a lot thinner, but you can get some really beautiful effects and things like that. The more water you add to it, and you can get different saturations, it looks really nice. And then you've got gouache, which is kind of in between, and it's a little bit thicker, so it's super opaque. I like to think of it as like a really opaque watercolor. You know, it's like one of those things that I say it's in between. I don't know if anybody else would dispute that, but it's like you have to add water to it. You could use it without water, but you wouldn't get very far. I mean, the only time I would use the gouache paint without water is if I was intending on really highlighting a certain area of something, and so I wanted it to be super dark. But like, other than that, you'd normally add water to it. So here I treated it as a watercolor, but again, it's got a little bit of a different texture. It's a little more texture than watercolor is in general, so it doesn't act exactly the same. And then, you know, also these were metallic colors, so they're again going to be behaving differently than regular gouache paint would in general. So you can see sometimes if you add a lot of water to it, you can see sometimes where the paint is separating because it's got all that little, like, I don't know, it's glitter specks inside of it. I don't really know how they make metallic paint, but yeah. So for the drawing, I ended up using the metallic on the hair, eyes, and background there, as long with those little kind of wispy things floating around her. I wanted that to kind of be mist and fog and stuff, but you see me using right now like a greenish color for the background. It's like that olivey metallic color, but in a second I'm gonna change it because I realized it just blended way too much with those little wispy smoke things that I added in there, and I just was like not having it. So here I changed it to green. Thought that contrasted much better with the character and everything in the foreground, so that's why I went along with that. And now I'm putting down some I'm putting down some glue and then adding the glitter on top. I really like this glitter. It's awesome. It's got little star specks inside of it. There's some bigger chunks. It's got some finer glitter, and it's just a nice mix of colors. It's pretty basic, but it's really pretty, and it really matched my drawing as a whole, and so I felt it really helped give her a magical type vibe, and I really enjoyed using it. I like to be using more these these metallic gouache paints more in the future. So they were pleasant to use here. I definitely do need more practice with them, but to highlight certain areas, like I think I probably could have used something different on the hair. Not all of the colors were as reflective as the others, like the gold, the green, the copper, you know, those were very reflective, but then you got like the pink, which really didn't reflect too much in the light. So I guess it depends on the colors. I'd say overall, I really did enjoy using these paints. So I hope you guys enjoyed what I was able to create with these supplies. and let me know what you think of it in the comments below.
As always, I have all of my links in the description box below. I have a link to my online shop, which has my enamel pins, my charms, prints, everything that I do, stickers is down there. So if you'd like to check that out, go take a look. You can support me that way. Also, go and check out my Instagram, which is also linked below, where I post artwork that I don't always post here on the channel or some behind the scenes things. Go check that out. And then lastly, I have the link to my Amino, which is a free to join app, and you can join the community and post your artwork, make friends, all that good stuff. So go check that out as well. As always, thank you guys so much for watching my video. I now post every week on Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. So until next week, I hope you guys have a beautiful day, and I will see you all then. Bye-bye.